Hey everybody, and welcome to Board Game Heaven. In this episode I'm going to take a look at Krowdfunder, the game by Riverhorse, which is a game designed by Alessio Cavatore and Jack Caesar with illustrations by Chris Caesar. It's a prototype right now and it's going to be on Kickstarter somewhere in April. I'll put the link in the description below as soon as that goes live, so you can go and check that out. So I'll explain how the game plays and then I'll tell you what I think about it. Krowdfunder is a card game for 2 to 4 players, which plays in about 15 to 30 minutes depending on how familiar people are with the rules. And it's a game about creating a campaign, a crowdfunded campaign that you're trying to fund. And for that to happen, you need, of course, a project, you need an audience, and you need stuff happening during your campaign to make it successful. To set up the game, you shuffle these 3 decks of cards, and then you deal each player 1 project card. There's also an alternative rule where you can give players 3 project cards. They choose one of those 3, and they keep the other 2 for the next round, in which they will get 1 extra project card, and they choose from those 3 again. But normally you'd get 1 card, and that's the project you're going to need to fund. For example, here is a live phone, which needs 24 coins to fund. Then, depending on the number of players, you pick an audience card for each player plus 1. So in a 3-player game, you'd get 4 audience cards. And they all have smiley faces or frowny faces on them. And you remember where they are, and then you turn them around. So this one has 2 X-backers, this is 1 X-backer. These are 2 happy backers, and this is 1 happy backer. And then the starting player takes this deck and deals each player 6 cards. So that is then your starting hand, and now you're ready to play the game. Let's go to the rules. Before we start playing, I'll explain what the campaign cards do first. So there's 6 different cards. There's the black update cards, there's blue stretch goals, there's yellow add-ons, there's pink video cards, there's red buzz cards, and there's green pledge cards. And as you can see, they all have different values. Some of these have pluses, which are basically your coins. So these range from 1 to 3. And you've got your buzz and video cards, which are like the audience cards, and they also can have frowny faces or happy faces on them. And the idea, the goal of the game is, of course, just to fund your project. And for that to happen, you need to launch your project. And you can only launch a project if you have 1 of each of these 5 colors on your hand. And since your hand is always 6 cards, you need to start swapping out cards. I'll explain that in a bit. So as soon as you have at least 1 of each of these 5, the black update cards are not relevant in that regard, then you can launch your campaign. And when you launch your campaign, you announce it by shouting launch, and then you slap your hand on one of those 4 audience cards, the card that you want to have. So let's see, this one was a very positive one. So if I remembered that correctly, I could slap my hand on that one. And then immediately all the other players, as soon as I shout launch, will have to do the same. So people will, try to get the best cards as soon as they can. And then at the end of the round, you count up all of your happy backers. You subtract any possible frowny faces, X-backers that you have. And then you multiply that number by the number of coins that you have in total. If you have multiple cards, so for example, if I didn't have an update card on my hand, but say, for example, I had another video card, then I can only use 1 of them. And of course, I'm going to use the one with the most positive value on it. So, and then you multiply those 2 numbers, and if that number is equal to or greater to your project funding goal, then you will have won that card, basically. That's a successful project, you keep that, and every player who funds their project keeps that card as well. you get a new project card for the next round and you play again. And as soon as somebody has 40 or more value of coins of their projects in total, then the game ends and you count up your entire score, and the person with the most value project wins, so the most coins wins. So it's basically a set collection game in where you're trying to get 5 different colors with, of course, as big as values as possible in order to fund your campaign. The update cards are cards that will give you, that's basically the take that card. They'll give you an option to do. So in this case, the market research cards lets you choose a player, and then you can pick any of these 5 colors, not a black card of course, and then that player, if they have that color, must give you a card of that type. And if they have multiple of that color, they can choose which one to give you. And if they can't, they need to show you their hand to prove that they indeed do not have that color. And this card gets played and discarded, and you get to draw a new card because your hand always needs to be back at 6 at the end of your turn. So that's what the update cards do. There are several different ones in the game, and they all do different things. So let's set up a game and play around. So I've dealt each player a project card, I've dealt out 4 audience cards, and I've dealt each player 6 of these campaign cards. So let's say this is my hand. Now during my turn, I can do 3 things, and I pick one of those things to do. So I can either draw a card from the campaign deck and then discard a card again. I can play an update card, or I can launch my project. But in order to do that, like I said, I need to have all 5 different colors, and I'm missing the blue card right now. So for my first turn, I will choose to draw a card and then discard one. So I pick the top card from the campaign deck, and hooray, I get a blue card. Now, of course, I can't launch right now in the same turn because I can only do one thing. So I need to get rid of a card. Now I'm keeping that one, and I've got 2 green ones, and they're both equally high. So I'll just pick one and discard that one to the discard pile. And then my turn is over. So then the next player's turn goes. So he looks at his hand. He's got lots of green cards, a red card, and the values are at the bottom. So let's have a look at that. So this is a good one, this is a good one, this is not a good one at all. And one thing to say is that if a player launches their project, then all the players choose one of these audience cards as fast as they can, and then they pick one card of each color, even if they don't have all the colors, and that's what they have to make do with. So you could still fund your project, but you don't want to have any negative cards in your hand. So even though I've got 3 green cards here, I'm going to get rid of that one. So that player is going to draw a card, and oh, that's lucky, that's a video card as well. So now I can get rid of this and still have a pink card. So that player's turn is done as well. So then the third player's turn is, and he looks at his cards, and he's also going to draw a card and discard a card. He also has an update card, and this card says go fund yourself, and it's basically a countermeasure. So this is take that card. If somebody else plays an update card, I can play this and cancel that. So that's a good card to have handy. So he's going to draw a card, and you can also draw a card from the discard pile, but only the top one. So he doesn't want this one, and he's going to draw a card from the top. And it's a blue card. I already have a blue card, but this is +2, so I could discard that one again. But let's see, do I have any negative cards? No. Well, this one isn't that good. So I'm just gonna go, no, I'm gonna get rid of this one because that's a negative card. And that means I don't have a pink card anymore, but I don't want to end up with negative cards. Because then if somebody would launch, then all the smiley faces that I had was these 2, and I'd lose one. And now if somebody launches, I still had 2. Okay, so it's my turn again, and now I could technically launch. So I could shout launch, pick a card, And in the best case scenario, I'd be the first one to slap my hand on this card, which is 2. But then I'd have to do the math. And I've got 4 smiley faces. And I've got 4 coins. So that means 16. And that's not enough to fund my iPhone. So I'm not going to launch right now. I'm just going to keep on going and hope that I will find something better. I can't use this, well, I can use the Zombie Apocalypse card in this case, which removes 2 audience cards, but that would make it trickier. So I'm not going to do that right now. Can't use this card either, so I'm going to just draw the top card from the deck. And look, that is a red card with 3 smiley faces. So I'm going to get rid of that one. And now potentially somebody else could get a red card if they needed one, but this person already has a better card, so he's not going to get that. But I don't know that, of course, so that is a little bit risky. But if now I can get that card, then I'd have 6 times 4 is 24, is exactly what I need. So I'm hoping that I can launch on my next turn already, which is pretty fast, but that can happen. So now that player is up. And that player is going to use the, wait, this is the Recycled ADs update card, and they can search the pile, but these are negative or something that he already has, so he's not going to use that. He's just going to draw another card. And this is a market research card. Now this card lets you pick a card from another player. You choose a color and you get that card, and he likes that, so he's going to take that one. And he's just going to get rid of one of these because he already has plenty of those and this one is better anyway. So yeah, he's going to keep these cards. And then the third player is up. Third player, looking at his cards. Yeah, I'm going to just draw again. And it's a red card, but I already have a better red card. So what shall we do? Shall I keep that one and discard a different one? Doesn't really matter. I might get rid of this one instead. Okay. So I'm back, and now I can launch. So I can shout launch, slap my hand, and pick that card. And the other one's frenzy. You know, they slap their hands on cards as well. And I hope to have been the fastest one. And that person slaps his hand on that card and gets the -2. So yeah. And then you can't do the math. So like I said, this is 6 times 4 is 24. So I win this round. I get to keep my project. But maybe other people can fund their projects as well. So this doesn't count. This doesn't count. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 happy backers. And he's got 3 coins. No, actually, he can only use 1. So that's 2 coins. So that's 10. Would he had another, if he had had this card, for example, so if he had had another turn, and he could have picked this card from the discard pile and then maybe discard that one instead, then in that situation, he would actually have enough cards to fund, even though he doesn't have the dark blue card in his hand. This would be enough to get 15 coins and fund that card, so he got to keep that one. And in this person's situation, he has 2 negative, X backers, which cancels out this one. He can only use 1 of each color, so this one goes away as well. So he's got nothing, basically. He's got no happy backers, and he's got 4 coins. So he's failed his project. The potato salad did not fund, and that card goes away. And that's how you play the game. You just shuffle all the cards again, you repeat, you give each player 6 new cards and a new project, and you put out 4 new audience cards in the case of a 3-player game, and you repeat until somebody has a total value of projects of 40 or more, and then you end the game, you finish the round, and you add up your total of value, and the player with the most value wins the game. Now, when Riverhorse sent me this prototype copy, they also sent along a few cards that were labeled as stretch goals. So they have some things up their sleeves. I'm just going to tease a few of them. So they have some extra project cards, some extra audience cards. There's, of course, cards from all colors. And the poop symbol here means basically nothing. It's not negative, it's not positive, so it's a worthless card. There's several of those. There's pledge cards, stretch goal cards, and update cards as well. And in the add-on cards, I also noticed there's a card that says, "This will be a backer's image. You're in the game." Me, yes, me. So you can actually be in the game somehow. So, you know, you need to check out the Kickstarter page to see what that's about. And all of these cards, as you may have noticed, have these avatar circles underneath, like you have in social media with a bit of text. So, you know, I'm guessing people will be selected from the comments on their Facebook or Twitter or whatever, and maybe be featured in the game. So check out their Facebook page. I will put the link in the description below and find out more about that. So that's how you play Krowdfunder, the game by Riverhorse. My final thoughts on this are as follows. I really like the artwork, first and foremost. The artwork by Chris Caesar. Well, I'll show some pictures right here. It's a funny comic style artwork. It has lots of references. If you've ever backed something on Kickstarter or other crowdfunding platforms, you'll recognize some of those. The potato salad is in here. There's all kinds of stuff that's really funny. He also included their river horse, the hippopotamus, in some of the cards as well, which is really funny. And it's colorful. It's really bright. The game really pops on the table. It's funny artwork. Lots of humor in there. So that's a very positive point right there. Then I think the game itself, the rules are very simple. You can learn it in like 5 minutes. You can teach it in 5 minutes. It's very simple, quick to start playing, and it's set collection, and it has a little bit of take that in it. So as far as that goes, I enjoyed that. The people I played it with also enjoyed the game. It's easy to bring along. It's just a little box, so you can just pop that into your bag, take it wherever you go, and play it in a couple of rounds. You can play it for as long as you want to. You can say, well, instead of playing 40 points, I want to go up to 50 or 60. Or if you're short on time, you can say, you know, we're going to play like 3 rounds or until X o'clock. And then we just stop right there and we count the number of projects that we finished. So that's also nice to have several alternate rules in there. So that's good. I think the icons and everything are clear. And of course, this is still a prototype. Things may change. They're very open to suggestions from their audience and their backers. So that's also very nice. I think Riverhorse is handling that very well. So all in all, I think this is a very fun, light, filler card game that's a lot of fun to play and to easy to bring along. So yeah, I'll give this my thumbs up, and I would say go and check out the Kickstarter and see what you think about it, and maybe back them on Kickstarter. So that was Crowdfunder by Riverhorse Games. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Board Game Heaven.